Hey guys. Let's see. Okay, cool. Got it. Got it all set up. How is everybody doing? My son was just in here playing games, so I've got to get everything adjusted. I'm going to pull up the new moon chart while everybody's getting on here and we're getting our lives together, right? It's not. There we go. I think that's where I want it to be. Yeah. We are almost in eclipse season. I'm excited about that. I love eclipses. So our next new moon is happening on February 27th. And if you're in the central time zone, it's going to be at 6:44 p.m. Change to local time zone. What do I have here? This is what I have here. Okay. Let me start sharing my screen. There you go. Very cool, very cool. So we've got a new moon in Pisces. It's right here. There's a lot of Pisces going on for this new moon. So I always describe Aquarius as like the collective consciousness, humanity's collective consciousness, right? Pisces is like the collective emotional place for humanity. So Aquarius is like the collective consciousness, intellectual space almost. It's like our collective mind as a human people. Pisces is more emotional than that. It's like the waters of humanity. It's our heart space. And it's so interesting the way the elements just flow through the zodiac like this. So yeah, let me just kind of get into it, I guess. So the new moon is the new cycle, right? And it's because it's a new cycle, we can't see what it's going to become yet. The new moon is hidden. We don't see the new moon. I guess I'm trying to figure out where to start here. Sorry. Mercury has, I'll start with Mercury. Mercury's been hanging out with the sun for the last few moon cycles, right? The last couple of new moons and full moons we've had, Mercury's been right there. And I think that's when you have the sun and Mercury together, it's like helping you communicate sort of like who you are, yourself, with a capital S. Mercury is all about communication and logistics. So it's like getting the message of you out into the world, sort of just helping you be who you are. With Mercury and Saturn and the North Node together here, Mercury, Saturn, and then this funny little weird horseshoe looking thing, that's the North Node. The North Node is sort of like the direction we're headed almost. For me, the North Node is like whatever the higher vibrations of the sign, not to sound too like new agey, but it's in Pisces. So all of the, like, what does Pisces aspire to be? The North Node represents those things. So the thing I gathered from the North Node and Mercury and Saturn being with this new moon is because Saturn brings like the structure, right? And Mercury brings the communication and the logistics. It's almost like they're supporting the building of something new in a good way, like this new good thing that comes from an emotional space within humanity. It's a new moon and it's in a water sign that always makes me think of the womb, things that are created in this dark space that we can't see yet. If you think about like Saturn being the structure, so like as a baby's body is formed in the womb, the bones, the structure, the physicality of the body, and then Mercury is like all the nerves and like the central nervous system, the brain, all of that. It's almost like this amazing thing is growing right now and we just can't see it yet. That's what it feels like for me. I think the North Node adds this really positive aspect to it because it's sort of like we want it to be this good thing. We want it to be the best of what we have to offer. Like that's the thing that we're trying to put into the world is what it feels like. As far as like the other aspects go, Jupiter is up here in Gemini and it's squaring the new moon. A lot of people say, oh, squares are bad, whatever. Y'all know I don't do that. It represents like what is challenging about the situation. So I think that this growth might be a challenge because Jupiter represents growth, expansion, our capacity to reach for more, to be more, to do more, our capacity to reach our potential in all areas. So that's the thing that we're sort of trying to do. We're trying to get there. This new thing that we're creating, we want it to grow, but there might be some challenges with the growth. Like, I don't know, sometimes I think about like how people get in their own way. You know, they're sort of they don't want to grow, and usually it's because of some sort of fear. They're afraid to face this or face that. They're not like in a because fear is a healthy thing to have, obviously. But it's like, it's uncomfortable or unfamiliar, and you're not really sure of yourself. You're not sure if you can overcome it. You're not sure if it's going to hurt you. You just don't know yet, right? So sometimes there's a hesitancy there, understandably. It's something that we should pay attention to, but I don't think it's something that should hold us back. So I think that's the square that Jupiter is talking about here. That it might be uncomfortable for us to sort of get into the flow of this growth or to let it grow. But Gemini is a mutable sign, which means that the energy of Gemini is like, it goes back and forth. Like, it's almost like a conversation. Gemini, right? Like, you're giving information and you're receiving information. So there's got to be a give and take in order for that growth to happen. We have to give a little bit of ourselves, and we have to get something from those that we're giving ourselves to. It's got to be a back and forth, and I think that's where the growth is going to happen. I think it will happen because of that give and take. We have to embrace the Gemini mutable energy. And Gemini is not emotional. It's an air sign. It's intellectual. It's having a conversation, like a real conversation with somebody, receiving information with an open mind, and also giving information that it is truth. It's the truth of like who you are. This is, so show people like your true self, even though that's a really scary thing, and also receive them as their true self, even though it might not be the exact same thing as what you are, you know, like, it's okay. You can learn from each other. That's where the growth comes in. You open yourself up to new experiences, new ideas, new places, new things, and you gain something from that. And I think that's going to like nurture the growth of this whole new moon energy we got going on, where we just have like this, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think it's going to help the growth of humanity's collective emotion. It feels really good. Like, it feels like a positive thing for me, even though it might be uncomfortable. It feels like something that we can all benefit from, because like, who doesn't want to just be able to exist as themselves, and like let go of that fear of judgment, maybe. Not just like say who you are, and this is what I feel, and you know, that's it almost feels superficial sometimes when people are telling you about themselves. But for people to actually be who they are and be in a space where they're comfortable being who they are, no matter what's going on around them, I guess, like an emotional confidence or surety or safety. The other thing that's sort of going on is Mars in Cancer is making a trine to the new moon. Mars isn't at its most comfortable in Cancer, because Cancer's like, you know, it's a crab shell. And Mars doesn't like to hide, it likes to do. But Mars is fire, and it's about turning your passion into purpose. Mars is passion. It's that like pure, raw fire energy, right? So how can we turn our passion into purpose? And it sort of goes back to like what I was talking about, being comfortable being who you are, and that emotional safety situation. Because like, we all want to defend our home, defend our safe space, right? And Cancer represents your safe space. It's your crab shell. It's where you can hide and like it's almost like a very defensive energy. And when Mars is there especially, it's like I will fight to defend myself from these threats, right? So we all sort of want to, it's like if somebody insults you, if they insult who you are, if they're threatening who you are, uh, you get sort of prickly about that. Or if you feel like somebody's going to judge you, you automatically get defensive. That's a Mars and Cancer thing for me. But here, I feel like that sort of reactive need to defend yourself emotionally, it's working so well with the Pisces energy where the new moon is. It's like if you can take that Mars energy and turn the heat down just a little bit so you have enough heat to defend yourself but not burn the other person. It's like it's giving you the confidence to be who you are, and in that knowing who you are, you're not afraid to be opposed. You're not afraid to it makes you less afraid of the growth because you have that confidence in yourself. So you can be met with something different and not feel threatened by it, not feel judged by it. That makes sense. Fire is a tricky thing, and it's crazy that this is in this chart like this, because I hadn't looked at the new moon chart until earlier today. But I've been doing a lot of Mars and fire work lately. I've actually got a workshop that's gonna be out soon about fire and its progression through the zodiac, and how to turn your passion and purpose. And that's anyway, just synchronicities, wild stuff. If we can tend our fire in a way where it doesn't get out of control, where it's burning just enough to keep us warm, to keep us alive, we can show our fire to other people. We can show our the things that we're passionate about to other people without feeling judged by them. Sometimes I think that we feel judged because in a way we're sort of judging ourselves. I know that's not always the case. Sometimes people just judge you because the issue is with them. Bottom line, end of story. They're the problem. But a lot of times, especially when it comes to our fear of being judged, it's because there's something about ourselves that we're not 100% comfortable with. And if we can get comfortable with that and accept that and like own that and use it as if we can turn it into our strength and say, this is me, this is who I am, and this is what's awesome about me, then it gives you a different sort of, I don't know, it's almost like you're just able to present yourself differently. You're not so much in your shell because there's no way they can hurt you, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Because you're not really allowing yourself to be hurt. Not in a fuck you're not going to bother me kind of way, but in like a quiet, I'm just totally confident who I am. You are separate from me and you have your opinions and you can think whatever you want. And it doesn't affect who I am. Like your thoughts about me, your opinion of me does not affect me. Just accepting yourself and really loving yourself, I guess. Venus is not directly related to, it's not making any like crazy aspects to the new moon, but it is squaring Mars over here. And I feel like with this Venus and Aries squaring this Mars, Venus sort of might make you feel a little more reactive about it. It might sort of enhance that need to like defend yourself because I wrote down need to fight / survival mode about what we are emotionally connected to. So if you really feel this way, this thing, and somebody opposes that, they feel differently or whatever, our natural state, like the thing that instinctively happens with this Venus and Aries square in Mars, is you feel reactive. Like you feel like you need to defend yourself, the need to like say something, and it's like somebody's approaching the castle. Okay, soldiers, get up on the walls, get your guns and your cannons and your bow and arrows ready because we might need to defend ourselves. There's a threat coming. I think Venus and Aries makes it feel a little more like a threat than what it actually is. So again, like just embracing that Jupiter and Gemini mutable energy and having a conversation about it before the fighting starts, kind of thing. Understanding the growth that can come from that instead of just like killing everybody, because what does that solve? You know? And then Chiron is also in Aries with Venus. Chiron is a minotaur, and the whole mythology of that situation is he like overcame his deeper animalistic instincts and became more human. He gained wisdom, and that helped him become a healer. Like he healed his wounds so he could heal other wounds. So I think Chiron is sort of like, hey Venus, it's cool. You don't have to be so reactive. I think Chiron is helping the situation because it's sort of like Chiron is encouraging us to get past our first reaction instinct to defend, to fight the threat, or to like posture up against the threat. It's sort of like, and Chiron is sextile in Jupiter too last time, so it's like Chiron and Jupiter are sort of supporting each other. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. Not only can we maybe like be open and receptive and have a conversation, we might actually get some healing out of this conversation that we're having. If I see your point of view and you see my point of view, and I can be who I am and you can be who you are, and we can still like interact with each other being who we are individually, then there might be some sort of healing that comes from that. And I think that's awesome. So I think that's a really good thing. And then Mars, has been in retrograde, but it's going direct now. So that means instead of Mars moving backwards this way, it's going to start moving this way again. So it's moving into like this opposition with Pluto. So it's like Pluto, Pluto's the transformer. It's the alchemizer. It's the thing that shows us where the thorn is so we can take it out. It helps us like weed the garden, prune the roses, kind of thing. The process is not always pleasant. It might be a little painful, but it needs to happen. Like it's unless you want something to just fester and rot and die, like you have to get rid of the thing that's hurting it, that's causing the rot and the fester and all that. You have to get it out so it doesn't get infected, So I think Pluto's, when Mars gets, the closer Mars gets to like 2 degrees of Leo, I think we're gonna start seeing more of I feel like Pluto is helping us see that reactive defensiveness that we have is not always a good thing. That if we can transform that raw primal Martian war energy into something more purposeful, if we can channel it into something that will create instead of destroy. I think Pluto is working on that. I think that's what it's trying to do with Mars, um, showing us that we are capable of creating with our fire instead of destroying with it. And then we can't forget about Neptune. I didn't mention Neptune at first when I was talking about all this Pisces stuff going on. Neptune sort of brings like this. It's an outer planet, so it's sort of like this overhead theme, sort of. Neptune is our imagination, right? It depends on your intention with it, because if your imagination runs away, then you're living in a world that's not real. You know, it's a delusion. But we need our imagination, because sometimes we need that break from things that are real. We just don't need to start living in the things that are not real, right? So what I wrote down is dream of what could be. Don't let illusion make you fear what could be. So what sort of outlook do you have when you think about how you want your life to be, or how you want the world to be? Because you can look at this and you can say, well, like, you can turn it into something really positive, or you can turn it into something really negative, and you can say, I need to fight, I need to do this, I need to defend who I am, and all these other things. Or you could say, oh, what are the possibilities? Like, if we let go of our ego a little bit and we say, like, what are the possibilities? What's the absolute best thing that could happen if we open ourselves up to this conversation and we allow the growth to happen, if we encourage the growth to happen even, right? What are some of the amazing things that could come from that? But on the other side of that is, if you get so caught up in this illusion that in your fear, you let your fear create this false reality of the way things are, and you're stuck in that and you can't see past that. I hope that's not a thing that like, it hurts me to see other people in that space, sort of. And it happens on so many levels. Like, people they can think this way about themselves, like childhood trauma, right? Because of all these things you were told as a child, all these things you went through as a child, you have this view of yourself, and you're living your life in that illusion, and it's just not real. Like, that's not who you are. That's what somebody else thought you were. That's not who you actually are, but it's become like sort of part of your identity, and it's awful when that happens. It's the same thing with like misinformation. Like, how many times when I was in like elementary school and middle school, especially, got really bad in middle school, somebody starts a rumor about you, and it's totally not true, but the whole world is reacting as if this thing were true, and it sucks. Like, it's a terrible place to be. So we have to be careful when we're imagining, when we're daydreaming, when we're thinking about all these possibilities. Like, we want to sort of visualize the best situation and have hope for that, versus like worrying about something that's not actually happening right now. I think Neptune in this situation comes down to hope versus worry. Do you have hope for the way things could be, or are you worried because you think that's how they actually are, sort of thing? And are there things about the situation which are not illusion, which are actual things that are real, that make you hopeful? I think it's important to look for those things. Actually, I think that's probably one of the biggest things with this new moon, is looking for the things that make you hopeful. And sometimes we have to take ourselves out of our comfort zone to discover the things that make us hopeful. Otherwise, we wouldn't even know about them. Like, say, you're talking to somebody and they're completely different from you. They have, they're a different religion, they're a different culture, they have different political views, totally different. You can look at that as they oppose you, like an opposition in astrology, right? When two planets are across from each other, but they're still connected. They're actually directly connected. And what are the things that they have in common, right? When you look at an opposition in astrology, it's wild because everything about the two signs is the same. Like, they have the same polarity, they have the same modality. The only different thing is what they're made of, like the element. Like, if you're looking at Taurus and Scorpio, right? They're both feminine, internal energy signs. They're both fixed signs. The only difference is Taurus is earth and water. Scorpio is water. So I think when you're looking at somebody who opposes you and everything you believe in, everything you stand for, how different are you really? I think if you can get past the discomfort of the opposition, you can find some sort of common ground, and that's I know that gives me hope. Like, even if it's just hope that maybe we're not so different as we think we are, or a hope that we can connect, that we can serve a greater purpose together. That's sort of what this new moon is giving me the vibes of. Yeah, anyways, this new moon's kind of deep, right? Let me know what you guys think about it. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions, especially if they're different from mine, because I've got a lot of stuff in Scorpio, so I'm a masochist that way. I like the discomfort and the pain of transformation, I guess. That's just how I roll. But yeah, let me know. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Look for my fire workshop that's going to be coming out soon. I'm super excited about that. I'm going to have to create some content to tell people about it, which is not my strong suit, creating content, but I'll figure it out. Because I'm really, really excited about this fire thing that I've been working on. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for this. So let me know what you think, and I hope you all have a great next 2 weeks until I see you again for the full moon.